On this episode of Doctor Who Impressions, we kill the moon. So I just finished watching the latest episode of Doctor Who, and I have to say right off the bat, it's probably my least favorite episode thus far. It starts off sort of boring, and I feel like the entire episode was predictable, but I'm going to discuss it nonetheless, and I want to get your feelings at the end of it. So we start off, we see the countdown clock, we see Clara distressed, we see her student Courtney distressed. We're sort of like, well, they decided to bring Courtney along, I guess, but then we go back in time to how they got to this distressful point. And the episode just kind of feels weird. It's weirdly paced. I'm not really connecting with anything that's going on. It seems sort of scatterbrained and just sort of like flat. The episode seemed really flat to me. I mean, I don't really like talking about sci-fi this way because I feel like sci-fi is supposed to be campy and a little strange, a little bit off color, and maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but this episode just seemed to fall flat for me, at least in the beginning. About halfway through the episode, I feel like they found their bearings and there was stuff going on, stuff that people would care about. The beginning, people die, they're on the moon, there's a problem with the moon. It seems sort of like, yeah, okay, whatever. As the story goes on, you see more the distress that these characters are in. There's still not a real sense of urgency. It seems like everybody's just following the doctor, and the doctor doesn't even really know what he's doing, and the astronaut woman that is with them didn't really know what she was doing. Then Courtney's freaking out. It just seemed like a really scatterbrained sort of episode, and it didn't really intrigue me. And I have to say I'm kind of disappointed with this week's episode, but not every episode can be great. We all know that. We've seen bad episodes in the past. A lot of the later Matt Smith stuff was sort of, and this has been the most like flat, like I said before, flat episode this season yet. Now the ending was a little bit more interesting. We sort of saw sort of a psychological deal with the doctor just leaving this decision on Clara and the rest of the humans, which I sort of felt hurt, because you always see the doctor as sort of being adopted by humanity. He sort of just came, sort of was lost and found humanity, and most of his friends took him in, who are humans. Most of his friends are humans. They took him in, and he just left 3 humans just to make this huge decision about whether people would live or die because the moon would be gone or not. And he left. He freaked out. I guess he had an anxiety attack and a panic attack, or he just didn't want to deal with it. So that I thought was interesting, seeing the doctor not being able to take handle of a situation as he usually does. He usually wants to be the first one to jump in there and help everybody, but this one he seemed just done. He seemed upset. He didn't want to deal with it, and that was sort of wrong of him, which we found Clara later agreeing with people that thought he was wrong for doing that. She was upset. Another reason why Clara is one of my favorite companions is because she doesn't follow the doctor blindly. She seemingly does, but she has been more, especially toward the end of Matt Smith's run and most of Peter Capaldi's run, she's been very much at the head of everything, at the head of Capaldi's run. She's just sort of, you know, she's the teacher. She's the one that cares about everything. She's the one that cares. I think even the doctor said she's the one the care one. In Into the Dolly, he said that. And we're really seeing Clara, how much more morally strong Clara is than the doctor. And the doctor's sort of like a scared child at this point. And I don't think Clara can trust him or rely on him anymore. I think she's starting to feel that. He's just sort of losing it. Like I said in an earlier vlog, my first impressions of the 12th Doctor, that he seems much more like a child now, and sort of throwing tantrums and being upset easily and really emotional than Tennant or Nine or Matt Smith was. He's just sort of really temperamental and really like fidgety, and I don't want to do that like people. I mean, I know this is what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be confused and he doesn't know what's going on. He's angry, but it's starting to get into that more, which we've never seen before. We've never seen the doctor get really that sort of fidgety and emotional. At least I haven't. I haven't seen the full collection of old classic Who. Even though I'm working on it, I am on Second Doctor right now. But that is my impressions of the episode. I think it was interesting toward the end when we saw that conversation, that argument between Clara and 12. He didn't have any words after she sort of cried and yelled at him because she was stunned. She couldn't believe what he had done. And I don't think he realized actually what he had done. And she made a good point about him being there. He is a human for all intents and purposes. He's been on Earth so many times, long enough. Most of his friends are on Earth. His family, you could say it's his family is on Earth. So for him to just leave that decision just to them, because if they were the humans, I think was wrong. And Clara thought that was wrong. and Courtney thought that was wrong even. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen now with Clara and the doctor. There was talk of Jenna Coleman possibly leaving, and almost every episode we've gotten so far is sort of leaning toward that. I kind of think it might actually happen this season, maybe after the Christmas special, so only time will tell. Tune in next week for the latest episode impressions. I think it's Mummy on the Orient Express, I believe it's called. Until then, I shall see you guys later.